Text chemistry. Before we get started, please click the link in the description down below. The strange text that makes a man shake with obsession? Sarah's phone buzzed on her coffee table, and it was from him. Her hands shook as she picked up her phone to read what he had just sent, and her world flipped upside down. "I'm breaking up with you," it read. She dropped her phone on the table and its screen shattered. Her mind raced with reasons why he would leave her, why he would just give up so easily. Was it because of the new girl at the office? Have I not treated him right? Is he sick of me? Am I not pretty enough for him anymore? No matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't fight back her tears, that is. Until she remembered the magical text message that her friend taught her. The text message that would change his mind about breaking up with her.
The strange, simple text that would cause his heart to burn with an intoxicating desire every time he thought about her.
Keep reading this letter and I promise that what you'll learn in the next 4.5 minutes will change your life forever. My name is Amy North, and I'm going to reveal to you the shocking ending to Sarah's story. And I'm going to reveal a secret text message you can send to a man, forget about every other woman and focus all of his attention, love, and desire on you and only you. To make you the only woman that he ever has on his mind. And to make him worship you, fantasize about you, and obsess over you as if you were the last woman on earth. The moment you use this text on a man, you will make his heart pound with hunger and excitement. As if you had put a hypnotic love spell on him. So if you're sick and tired of him ignoring your text messages and pulling away, then keep on listening. Because this one little text holds the key to make any man feel an everlasting love for you and only you, forever. This sounds unbelievable, I know, but it has worked shockingly well for the hundreds of women I've shared this kind of text message with. Women like Rachel, who used them on her ex-boyfriend after he suddenly and unexpectedly dumped her. As soon as her ex read this message, he immediately realized his mistake, told her how much he missed her, and begged her to take him back. Or my friend Samantha, who used it on the new cute guy at the gym. Once he read that magical text, he immediately asked her out on a date and they've been infatuated with each other ever since. Or Alexa, who used this strange text message on her cold and distant husband, and practically made him obsess over her again overnight, promising to love her through thick and thin. These magical texts work even if you don't think you're naturally beautiful, intelligent, or charming, because these messages are like discovering a magical dictionary of obsession. Where every word, phrase, and sentence will make his entire body shake with incredible love and infatuation for as long as you desire. Want proof? Just listening to this story about my friend Sarah, and I promise that you will be shocked by what happens to at the end. "I want to be with you forever and always," he whispered into Sarah's ear. Her heart fluttered, her eyes widened, and her palms began to sweat. Could it really be? She thought. Could I really be the one for him? Sarah's entire life was filled with heartbreak and disappointment. That is, until she met her soulmate. His name was Mark, and he was perfect. He was tall, charming, and incredibly successful. Every month he would whisk her away to some exotic Caribbean island or quaint European town. She couldn't believe how magical their lives were, and she couldn't help but giggle with glee every time he crossed her mind. Her best friend Jen even jokingly said, "If I could transplant my soul into your body, I'm sorry to say, but I probably would." Nothing in her life could have been more perfect, that is, until she showed up. The stunning new internet Mark's office. She was 7 years younger than Sarah, she was thin, and had that kind of youthful flirtiness that most men go crazy for. At first, Sarah wasn't worried because Mark was always intensely loyal. But this time, the whole situation just felt different. And as time wore on, Sarah began noticing something deeply strange and disturbing with Mark and the intern. She noticed that they began spending more and more time together at the office. They'd always text each other late at night about work. But Sarah kept telling herself that work was work and tried not to think anything of it. Until her friend Jen told her something that made her mind race. "Please don't freak out," Jen said, "but I think I saw Mark and that new intern, together, holding hands at the park last night. But I'm not 100% sure." The moment those words came out of Jen's mouth, Sarah's heart crashed to the floor. Was it true? Her heart began to pound wildly. It felt like all her deepest fears were coming true. She knew she had to confront Mark, but the moment she did, he snapped. Of course I'm not into her. I love you. Not her. But after that, things just didn't feel the same. Was he telling the truth? She thought to herself. She spent sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if Mark could really hurt her like that. Every single time Mark's phone buzzed, she felt a burst of anxiety flow through her. Why is she texting him so late at night? Why is she always texting him? The more she brought up the issue with him, the colder and more distant Mark became. And after a few weeks of unbearable anxiety, Sarah discovered something that made her want to laugh and cry at the same time. Jen was wrong about Mark and the intern. It turns out that she had confused them with a couple down the street that looked almost exactly like them. But the damage was already done, and Mark was increasingly distant and preoccupied. And, most disturbingly, he wasn't texting her back as quickly as he used to. Sometimes waiting for hours where he used to always get back to her in seconds or minutes. The uncertainty of waiting left a knot in her stomach. She didn't know if he was mad at her, or if he just couldn't be bothered anymore. She was a mess of anxiety and started constantly worrying about when he was going to leave her. Until, one day, a few weeks later, it finally happened. Sarah got that fateful message from Mark telling her it was over, which caused her to drop her phone. It was as if the bottom had dropped out of her life. Her vision blurred as the tears streamed down her cheeks, and she felt her knees weaken and stomach lurch, leaving her to doubt whether she'd ever find someone to love her the way Mark did. And as she sat there, feeling more alone than she had in her life, staring blankly at her broken phone, she remembered the weird type of text message her friend had told her about, the one that claimed to make any man feel a deep burning obsession for whoever sent it. She'd thought it was ridiculous at the time, but typed it in and sent it off anyway, with no real expectation that she'd ever hear back from him. And almost immediately, he messaged her that one word, wait. And as she stared at that one word, wondering how she should respond, the phone started ringing in her hands. It was him. It was weird to see his name came up like that. He never called her. When she answered, she'd barely said, hello, when he blurted out, Sarah, I need to see you. Can we please talk? She agreed to let him come over. And that whole night, Mark begged Sarah for forgiveness. Forever thinking about leaving her. And forever thinking that his life could be complete without her. The text had reminded him of everything good they had together, and had filled him with a desperate fear that he'd never find a match like her again. Finally, he said the words she'd been waiting to hear for months, I'm in love with you, and I'm never, ever leaving you no matter what. I'm in love with you, and I'm never, ever leaving you no matter what. So who was this mysterious friend that told Sarah about the most influential text messages ever? Well, drum roll please. It was me. Amy North. Wink. For over 10 years, I've been studying the science of love and attraction, and I've learned how simple words can make any man melt with purest form of desire for you. To infiltrate his mind with thoughts of romance and desire. And to make him love you unconditionally. Until he has to bend down on one knee and give himself, completely, to you and only you.
So what is this text message and how does it work?
And how does it make your guy feel a special kind of obsession for you that only 1% of women ever experience? In order for you to understand how it works, you need to know just 3 simple facts. Number 1, the key to making a man fall and stay in love is his attention. When you truly capture a man's attention, he can't stop thinking about you. That means when you're with him, his mind is practically glued to you. When he looks at you, he will feel like he is bathing in warm sunlight. And when you're apart, he's constantly thinking about where you are, what you're doing, and what you're thinking. I'm sure you've experienced something similar when you're in love with a man. When you're in a room with him, no matter how many other people are around, your brain is constantly tracking where he is and who he's talking to. When you're not with him, you begin wondering where he is and what he's doing, and you're secretly hoping that he's thinking of you too. Now, most people think that our brains become fixated on a person because we're infatuated with them. But the opposite is also true. The more you think about someone, the more attention you pay to them, and the more in love and infatuated you become with them. So once you learn how to occupy a man's attention and get him to think about you uncontrollably, you will have complete control over him in a way you never thought possible. Number 2. There are certain psychological triggers which grab a man's attention. For example, things like curiosity, cliffhangers, and incomplete information are tools that make a man crave to know more. These are the same triggers Hollywood screenwriters use to draw an audience into their movies and force them to pay attention for hours at a time. These psychological triggers, which I call attention hooks, are extremely powerful, because they tap directly into the focus system of a man's brain, and force him to wonder about you, to think about you, and to pay attention to you, whether you're right in front of him or you're miles away. And here's a hint, I've even embedded several of these attention hooks into this very article to keep you reading. All this leads me to Number 3. You can use these hooks to capture a man's attention and force him to pay his full attention to you, which in turn creates desperate feelings of love, infatuation, and obsession for you. All of a sudden, he won't be able to control his sudden urge to fantasize about you all day long. And he'll find his own reasons to see you, hold you, and kiss you like you've never been kissed before. This creates a positive feedback loop that causes his mind to constantly wonder about what you think of him, when you'll respond to him, and when he'll get to see you next. This, ladies, is what you call genuine obsession. And as soon as you understand these 3 simple facts and use my simple text message system, don't be surprised if handsome men begin calling you, texting you, and asking you out on more dates. Don't be shocked if your ex comes crawling over fiery coals just to have another chance with you. And don't be amazed when the man you're currently with, despite his coldness, indifference, and stubborn unwillingness to commit, calls you out of the blue, tells you how much he loves you, and showers you with the kind of affection that you might have thought was just Hollywood fiction. So now I know what you're probably thinking. How do I get started? How can I learn more about these magical text messages and use them to make any man stick to me like a cute puppy dog? Well, after teaching women to create and use text messages like this for the past 2 years, I've put together a complete guide for women on texting men, including hundreds of attention hooks to grab and hold his attention so he can't stop thinking about you when you're not around, putting his love and obsession for you into overdrive so he's 100% devoted to you. I call this incredible new online program, Text Chemistry. Click the link in the description to learn more. Take action. Thank you for watching.